Hey friends, welcome to early April in North Carolina where spring has definitely sprung. So we are going to do a really fun walk through the garden so that I can show you what my garden looks like here at the beginning of April. It's fantastic. Every time we come outside, we're like, oh, look at this. There's green, there's color. So exciting. So for those of you that are in the South like I am, where spring has sprung, maybe I'll be able to offer a little bit of encouragement, some words of advice, because there are some definite successes and there are some messes, and I'm going to share those with you because I know if I'm probably dealing with them, you are too. And then if you are still covered in snow, this video is to offer just a little glimmer of hope, yet that yes, spring will come to your garden too. It just may be a little bit more delayed than here in North Carolina. So we're going to start here because this is one of my favorite flower beds. This is the strip of a shade garden that is obviously beside the house, and then the driveway is right here to my left. The reason that I have a shade garden here is because of the house. This gets early morning sun, maybe 4 or 5 hours of morning sun until the sun goes behind the house, and then it is shaded. This is not on irrigation. However, especially in the wintertime, this tends to be a historically damp area. You can see that the hostas have sprung to life. All sorts of wonderful things have sprung to life, and I want to share them with you. I love hostas. However, I don't have a whole lot of shade, so I don't get to use them a lot. So I try to pack them in wherever I possibly can. And because here in North Carolina, where we are in the Piedmont, our nights are still very hot and humid. So sometimes our hostas don't grow to be as large as, say, if you went up an hour and a half to the Blue Ridge Mountains. But they're still doing great. I mean, look at this beautiful chartreuse foliage. This is Wiggles and Squiggles. So fun. And then you have it paired with the really dark euchera. This is the evening gown euchera from Proven Winners. Lovely. And then right behind this we have white feathers. So white feather hosta is unique in the fact of those new leaves come out very white with that green vein, and then it will turn a lovely shade of green. Very much an upright hosta, so that's why it's more towards the back. And then look at that old-fashioned bleeding heart. Oh, so pretty. I have 2 in the back, and I put my bleeding hearts in the back because when the heat of the summer hits, so like July and August, it gets too hot for them and they begin to go dormant. And that's okay, so that's why I put them in the back. Then they kind of disappear into the garden. With our climate the way it is, a lot of times eucheras do better in containers. This was the Smoke and Mirrors from Walter's Gardens. There's actually 2 in there, and you can see that one is doing a little better than the other. The first one is actually getting ready to bloom. They've been in containers for, gosh, this will probably be going into the 3rd year, I believe. And it's not on irrigation, it just gets rain. Then I'll water it when I need to. And you can see that one's a little happier than the other. Really fun contrast though, and it has sat in that pot for those number of years and done really well. This is a really fun fern that is emerging. This is Dre's Dagger. We carried this years ago at the nursery. It will get nice height to it. Tons of new fronds are coming out on it and gets nice and big and has a fun little tip to it. Then this is another evening gown. So it is not, this is in the ground. And if you've been with me in my struggles with eucheras, then you know that we do struggle, but this is such a very happy plant. Another very happy plant is the Pulmonaria. This is spot on. Pulmonaria is a great companion to your hostas. Here we have the Golden Tiara. I've got 2 of the spot on Pulmonaria. Again, this will be the 3rd spring, I think, that it will be in the ground. Beautiful variegated foliage. Does these beautiful kind of these salmon pink blooms that will turn to a really nice shade of blue. A great plant. Tends to be, and I say tends because every time I say something's deer resistant, I'll have somebody that goes, well, not in my garden, they eat it. It tends to be more deer resistant because it's very fuzzy. Deer do love hostas because they're nice and soft and silky. I mean, it's like a butter lettuce, right? Pulmonaria tends not to like it so much. I've got some trilliums in here that my mama had given me. My mom, if you're new to gardening with Creekside, is a fantastic gardener. She has a lot of dry shade. So she'll find some plants and then she knows that she has full access to come and just plop some things in the ground some places. So those trilliums are doing well. And then look at this, y'all. If you are familiar with shade gardening, this is a Jack in the Pulpit. She brought this Jack in the Pulpit to me last year. And it's such a really fun, unique, different specimen of a plant. Again, planted right here between these two golden tiaras, and just fun. So I know that for years and years to come, I will see that Jack in the Pulpit and think about my sweet mama that has brought me some of her goodies from her garden. Also, back in the back, you will see that I have a holly fern. And this holly fern I call Annette's holly fern because it came from my sweet friend Annette, who lives in Texas. When we went to go visit her several years ago, it was the night before we left, and I said, "Hey Annette, can I have some of your holly fern?" Because she had this massive stand of it. And she was like, "Of course." So I took a clump. It drove 19 hours from Waco, Texas back home, and it has done great. Now, it is thin because I just cleaned out all the dead foliage just today. And the new fronds will come out. This thing will be massive and thick and huge. It will come up to the window and be really full. And then, of course, beside the holly fern, I have sweet little Bashful Betty. Bashful Betty is a unique stone piece that my grandmother's name was Betty. And so this is a little ode and tribute to my sweet grandmama Betty. And so she is in the garden moving all around. So we have more wiggles and squiggles, great Brunnera, just a whole lot of collection of shade loving perennials that can take morning sun and then in the shade in the afternoon. My Ariella Sun King, look at this, I just noticed it today, is starting to emerge. We are having some really warm temperatures right here now in North Carolina, and I have got foliage all over the place on these babies. A fantastic shade perennial. It will be a nice chartreuse lime green, and I have two of them. They're about 2.5, 3 feet apart, I would say, and I may have made a mistake when I planted them because in all of their glory, these two together will look like one massive plant. It will come above my hay rack and it will come over. So it almost crowds out the Lenten Rose, the hostas, and the Brunnera. It just gets huge, but it is stunning and it is gorgeous. If you're looking for a low maintenance perennial, then you can't miss that. Now, hellebores are gorgeous and they are doing wonderful. What's not doing so great are my macrophylla hydrangeas. This is an example. This is one of the Let's Dances from Proven Winners. You can see I've got a lot of good foliage at the bottom. And even though I covered these, I have 3 different types of macrophylla hydrangeas in this bed. I covered them. We did all the whole things, but we had a week, multiple nights of freezing and heavy frost, and it just got zapped. I'm debating on whether or not that this would be a great time to go ahead and just prune it and cut it back. I don't know. I haven't decided yet what I want to do with them, but it would be a great time to go ahead and shape these up since I most likely have lost my blooms because macrophyllas bloom on old growth, not new growth. Beautiful new growth down there at the bottom. I'm just afraid that I have lost my blooms up top. We'll see. I will keep you updated on that progress and what I decide. And then I have talked about this fantastic plant a lot with our customers here at the nursery here lately. This is Lamian. This is pink Chablis Lamian. And Lamian is a perennial for us. We actually sell it as an annual at the nursery. And you can see, yes, do I have grass popping up through here? I do, because this is the grass that popped up when we reseeded, and I just need to get in there and clean it up. But Lamian is a wonderful perennial, a ground cover, beautiful silver foliage on it that does these beautiful pink flowers. And last year I had other plants around it. I think I'm just gonna let it go in with my little mushrooms. I've got some perennial ferns here on each side. So I think I'm just gonna let it go and enjoy it. And then my white by the gate camellia is doing quite nicely, and I see some new growth popping up on her. I've had people ask me if the white by the gate is a climbing camellia. It is not. We are training this to go up this trellis right here. So you can train camellias to go however you want. If you were to let the white by the gate go, it would turn into that traditional massive, huge japonica camellia. Classic, beautiful, double white flowers, stunning, absolutely beautiful. Now, we're leaving my one shade garden, and then we're gonna walk back here to my other shade garden. Well, it's park shade. So we call this the forest pansy bed because it has a forest pansy red bud in it. And so underneath the tree, you get a lot of shade. The more you move out, that it tends to be full sun. I did this container last year with 2 eucharas and beautiful perennial grass. The grass itself is a kind of a brown grass, so the grass is not dead. I was trying to remember where I had stuck my tags, but this is just beautiful, massive, huge, unique stone container, and they have done really, really nice. So of course it gives me gorgeous fall color, but I really like the interest that it has this time of year as well. This shade garden is coming along quite nicely, and this is really where I have lots of fun. Because it is a nice big open space, so when you come into the garden, way back here, it is definitely shade, right? So I have my Florida Sunshines. These are a great Elysium. Now this is gonna be the worst that they look because they're getting a good bit of sun right now because my forest pansy has not really flushed out with all of its leaves. So this means it's getting too much sun, a little washed out. Once my leaves really pop out and they're in the deep shade, these will brighten up to a nice rich chartreuse green. My ferns are coming along beautifully. I have 3 of the autumn ferns. This is Brilliance. This one I just cleaned up the old foliage underneath it today. So you can see the difference between this fern and say the other 2 ferns, where you can see the old spent foliage is bending down, and you just go in there and clip it. This I cleaned up, so everything you see right here is brand new foliage. Y'all, this thing is very close to being like, 2.5, 3 feet tall. Gorgeous, will turn into a beautiful mature green color. Beautiful. Hostas coming up. Hellebores doing really well. And I have to be very careful where I tiptoe because there's all these great perennials popping up every day. I'm like, oh, that's right, I planted you there. Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So don't get on to me about.
Yeah. So Jerry's saying don't fuss at him because I'll go, oh goodness, like I found my balloon flowers. Like here's an astilbe just coming up, little astilbe coming up, a hostas coming up. This is the sweet little balloon flowers. Like, not that I forgot that I had the balloon flowers, but I certainly forgot where they were. And so you can see, like right here, they're popping up. So these are a beautiful blue balloon flower, so that's really fun. I've got some toad lilies. I've got, this is the crested surf fern. The, what do you call it? The pitcher plants from Walter's Gardens. I just cleaned these up yesterday. Cleaned out the old foliage. This is all beautiful new foliage. So if you have pitcher plants, you can go in and cut out all the dead, and then all your beautiful new growth will come up, both there and then right here as well. So lots of fun there. The companion bed to the forest pansy bed is the Gatsby Gal bed, and that's because it has a Gatsby Gal oak leaf hydrangea in here. This too gets, now this side gets tons. It's considered a full sun bed. We've got some changes we're gonna have to do to this flower bed this season. Most notably is we are going to take out this Scentlandia. So Scentlandia is a beautiful native plant. I love this plant. It is wonderful. It does beautiful spring flowers that are a pure white. The foliage in the fall is absolutely stunning. It is a beautiful like red burgundy color, and it holds onto the flowers, I mean the foliage, really well. Not only do I love this plant, but this plant happens to really love its location. And it's getting a little too happy here and is sending out babies and runners everywhere. If this were in a natural area that is nice and damp, then I would say go baby go. But right here in this flower bed, I need something more well contained. So these guys are gonna come out. There are 3 of them in here. So all 3 are gonna come out, and then I'm gonna plant in here a brand new spirea. So really excited about that. Of course, I will take you along for that whole journey. But these are doing well. My Limelight Primes, look how nice they have all fleshed out there in the back that go there. My grasses are coming up nicely. I'm telling you y'all, it has been so warm here. And then the beautiful new foliage on the Gatsby Gal, nice poking out. Gatsby Gal oak leaf hydrangeas, all oak leaf hydrangeas bloom on old growth. So if you're gonna come in here, you just wanna pinch off your spent flowers like that. You don't wanna come in here and prune it like a panicle and come down and trim like this. If you do, then you have lost all of your beautiful flowers for this season. So you can come in, because this naturally just snaps right off, and do it like that. So oak leaf hydrangeas, don't prune. If you have to prune it, do it immediately after it blooms, but certainly not right now. So those are coming along nicely. And then coming down through here, we have Baptisia that is coming up. I have multiple types of Baptisia in here. So there's a couple here. My Amazing Daisies are really nice. It's gonna be a great color for me. And then I have these 2 Baptisia that kind of flank the sidewalk right here, the little pathway next to that Limelight Prime, the Baptisia, of course, the Amazing Daisies. And then look y'all, is she not gorgeous? So this, of course, is the Generous Gardener Climbing Rose from David Austin. You saw me prune it back in, oh gosh, was that January, February? And completely beautiful foliage on it. And there are buds. We have got buds all over this plant. Now I do have 2. I have 2, one planted on each side of this trellis, this arbor rather. I got this arbor from Kinsman Garden Company. That's kind of where I get all of my hardware in the garden. If you're in North Carolina right now, we have our little fuzzy caterpillars. They're coming out. They're basically pretty harmless. I mean, of course, they don't hurt you. They do like to chew on your plants a little bit. So if you see them on your plants, just kind of pull it off. But the Generous Gardener is going to be in absolute stunning glory, because I see buds all the way from the bottom, all the way up to the top, all the way around. Very happy, very healthy. So excited about this. Now, coming back over here to the forest pansy bed, we have lots of good, really good growth in here. This side of the flower bed gets, as you can see, the sun is setting behind me. It is 6:30 at night, and so this does get lots of good sun in here. And so I have to kind of transition from full shade over here to full sun. So I have some pugster butterfly bushes. I have perennial salvias in here. Of course, the candy tuft. The candy tuft is doing quite nicely. So is the weed, this vetch. Well, that's embarrassing now, isn't it? Real life here, y'all. We do have weeds. Everybody has weeds. If they tell you don't have weeds, they're lying. But the candy tuft is doing really nice. And then every time we come in here, people ask about this. This is the Ascot Rainbow Euphorbia. It's one of my favorite perennials. This is the bloom, right? So you really grow it for the foliage, which is a really nice, soft, kind of a silky foliage. There's another one behind it. It will get nice and tall, gorgeous color contrast for the other plants in the garden, doing very nicely. All right, we're gonna back up, we're gonna pivot just for a minute, because also on this side of the flower bed, kind of that Gatsby gal coming down from the Generous Gardener, we planted this space last week. And so in here I have my David Austin roses in the back. Again, I can see tons of buds on these sweet babies. There are 3 groups, and in each group are 3 roses. So I want these, I followed David Austin's instructions because I want these to be like one massive rose. So this is the Roald Dahl. This is the Susan Williams Ellis, which is a beautiful pure white. Lots of buds right here. And then we have the Poet's Wife, which is a nice soft yellow. So everybody is flushing out, doing really nice. I don't see any buds. Oh, yes I do. Never mind. There's a bud on the Poet's Wife. And then in front of that, I planted the Supertunia Mini Vista Indigo, which will be a beautiful, as you can see, nice, rich, purple, blue, indigo color, and that will fill in. It's still a little early for petunias. Now they can handle the cold temperatures, but their growth is going to be much more controlled. So that means it's going to be nice and tight and not get real leggy. So that's going to fill in, but it gives my roses plenty of room to come up and out, because that is what they did last year. So nice and thick in there. Behind me, this is one of, I don't want to say it's a mess because it's nature. It is what it is. Like I think the vast majority of the whole country, right before Christmas, we had that Arctic blast that came through, and my poor tea olives and my poor azaleas took a massive hit. Neither one are dead. The azaleas probably look the worst. Like there's one sad little bud right here, but basically it completely defoliated. And so what I'm going to do for these guys is, for both of them, I'm going to come in and I am going to trim them big time. I'm really going to shape them up, and then I'm going to immediately fertilize them. This bed is on irrigation, so that will help them bounce back once we turn it on. Right now we're getting so much rain, I don't need to. But trimming them back and then fertilizing them will help encourage that new growth. With these, I probably will apply that slow release fertilizer. Hollytone is what's great for azaleas. I will apply that fertilizer probably about every 6 weeks to really try to get some really good growth. So hopefully by this fall, I can get a beautiful flush of blooms. My tea olives were making a strong comeback. They were doing great. And then we got that week of freezing temperatures and frost. All this brown that you see was brand new foliage. I mean, they were happy and they were pushing out growth, and then the frost freeze came and wham, it just fried back all that tender new foliage. I'm not covering these. I just can't. It's just, it is what it is. So again, what I will do is I will come in here and I will trim them up. I'll probably just use the hedge trimmers, trim them, fertilize them with Hollytone, and then let them flush out. They are not dead. There is new growth popping out on the stem, so they will be fine. They just took a massive hit. It is what it is, y'all. I mean, gardening, you're just rolling with the punches, right? Now, however, look who did not take a hit in the Arctic blast. She was like, Arctic blast? Please, hello. This is the Bloomerang Dark Purple, which I am on the border for being able to do lilacs, but this one does the best. This time of year, she is getting ready to absolutely just pop in flowers. This is full sun. She does struggle. July and August, she looks terrible. This time of year, she's beautiful and is gonna flush out. So probably what I'll do in the coming years, once we get the creek bank kind of under control with the weeds, I will move her down there so that she gets a break from the hot afternoon sun. Doing really nice. Look at this sweet thing. Isn't that great? Beautiful Japanese maple, can take full sun, gorgeous brand new foliage on it. This is just stunning. I love it because it has the different color. I want to say this is like flamethrower. I could be wrong. Flamethrower? Jerry says it's flamethrower. So it does do the full sun, even here in zone 7B with our heat and humidity. again, on irrigation, but a beautiful plant. I planted this last year, so this will be in the garden for just 1 full year. We get a nice size to it, but not huge, right? More upright than like wide. Very happy about that, as is my little lime punches, my pufferfish. Everybody is just doing so well right here. The unique stone fountain, love it. It's great. It's really fun to have that nice little splashing sound in the garden. Brings a different texture. We have, like, as far as like the levels of sound and everything in it, we have found though, because we get so hot here, that we have to basically fill it or throw some water in it just about every day. But everybody is doing well there. And then coming on over to the patio, really excited to show you some updates on these David Alston roses and the clematis that we planted, was it even a month ago? I'm not even sure if it was a month ago now. So here we have, remember, we have 3 different roses here, right? So all the David Alstons are shades of pink. We have Brother Codful, Gertrude Jekyll, Scepter d'Isle, right? So behind we have the panels. So on the panels I put the same clematis. Beautiful, nice, healthy roots that I got from Brushwood Nursery. Look, we're all the way up to here. Nice growth on it. Of course, this is a first year, right? So I'm not expecting like huge, massive growth. In subsequent years, this thing is just gonna fill out and fill in this whole trellis and be gorgeous. So all 3 clematis are the exact same going down this wall. So that brings me some uniformity. Sprinter boxwoods. I mean, you just can't fail as far as I'm concerned with the sprinter boxwood. Sun or shade, this is about the time that I need to come in and do a pruning. I prune them once a year and just kind of shape them up so they don't get too wild and woolly on me. Love the sprinter boxwoods. Let's see, give you an update on the urns. So we planted these beautiful Weston urns from Unique Stone with the brand new Bidens. This is Campfire Marshmallow. Now this is a nice little tiny baby sprinter boxwood, and then the white little Bidens. We did have some really kind of cool nights, so I did come in and cover them with a burlap bag, but they handled it like a champion and just did really, really nice. So those will take me through until I'm ready to put in my summer planting, which will be really like a nice, beautiful grass, and then I don't know what I'm gonna put underneath it, but those will do super nice. And then let's come down here because I want to talk to you in the backyard bed, because we've had some more wonderful successes and we've had some damage from the Arctic blast that came through. So I just want to kind of share that with you and tell you what I'm going to do. So if you have the same thing in your garden, that you can kind of take those same steps, right? So here we have in this flower bed, we've got perennial grasses that are coming back great. They did it wonderful. The sweet little Hinoki Slender, she too is doing really nicely. Love this tree. It's just a lot of fun. Has handled all these cold temperatures, the heat, really, really well. What we had some problems with, and I say problems, and it's all because of the weather. Right here, we have the Fairy Trail Bride. This is the trailing hydrangea from Proven Winners, and it was doing great. Like, it really handled the Arctic blast because, of course, it was completely dormant in late December. What happened was when we had these last couple of freezes and frost, it had already started to flush out. I had new growth down here at the bottom, and I had growth on my stems. The freeze and the frost came and it zapped it. And my hydrangea appears, the stems, part of them at least, the tips tend to be, they snap really easy. So when you're snapping your hydrangeas, you can snap all the way down, and if it snaps, then that means it's dead. If it bends, then that means you have life in it. At this point, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna prune it. I've got good growth down in the bottom. I don't know what this is going to do up here at the top. So we're just gonna leave it and see what happens. Once it flushes out completely, and if these stems then don't flush out with new growth, then I will come in here and I will trim it back. The good thing, bad thing about the Fairy Trail hydrangea is that it blooms on old growth and new growth. So if it's old growth, I probably lost those flowers. That means my first set of flowers. The new growth means I'll just get flowers, but it will be later on in the season. And that really is with all of my fairy trails. I have them here and in next door. Now, another thing that happened is I have a couple of things really. One, here are my double play doozy spireas. I did prune these late winter. What you see here, this burnt foliage, is what happened a couple of weeks ago. Now, doozies bloom on new growth. So what I'm gonna do is probably just to clean the plant up is I just need to come in here with my hedge trimmers and give it a nice little prune, just a little shape up. Now, if you don't wanna do that, don't worry about it. Leave it alone, because right here, I've already got brand new growth popping out. That way it just cleans up the plant and encourages new growth. So I can do that on all three of these. They'll flush out. Will my blooms be delayed? Maybe a little bit, but doozy is a wonderful one that it is a continuous bloomer. It is sterile, it does not produce seeds, so the plant keeps thinking, oh gosh, I've got to produce something, so it just keeps producing flowers and not seeds. So that's what's going on with that. If you notice with your butterfly bushes, so we have pugster right here. I don't remember exactly which pugster this is. It took a hit. All of this is gone up here at the top, but I do have foliage down here at the bottom. Especially if you're in a really cold zone, you may notice dieback every single year. For us in the South, that's not typical. Our pugsters will even be what I call like a semi-evergreen. This clearly took a massive hit, so I can come in here and trim this out and then it will re-flush. So if your butterfly bushes, if you see growth at the bottom but not up at the top and it's really brittle, you can go ahead and trim that back. Butterfly bushes bloom on new growth, so that is very encouraging. You're still gonna get your blooms maybe a little bit later. Amsonia. This is the storm cloud. Beautiful, nice, thick, wide foliage. Beautiful light blue blooms on it. I have a couple of these spaced throughout the gardens, but they are coming back nicely. And echinaceas are coming back. Daylilies, of course, are doing really well. But everybody here is nice and happy. There was not anything, well, I will tell you this. So I had some agastaki. This was the meant to be, I think this was the royal raspberry. It was really interesting, and I can't quite figure out why this happened as far as like why I lost the ones that I did. There's 5 in here. These 3 that are closest to me, they're gone. They're goners. They are not coming back. However, the 2 that are in front of me are fine. They've got green growth on them. They're happy. They will come back and bounce back. So I don't know that it was necessarily a water issue, like they weren't too wet. Wasn't really a cold issue. I don't know. Sometimes just plants do what they want to do and you just move on with it. So those have done their thing. And then the peonies are coming back with a beautiful vengeance. Super nice. I have got buds all over them. But even like, look at this. Come over here. Look at this echinacea. This is the color-coded one in a melon. I mean, y'all, echinacea loves it hot, loves it dry. It is the craziest thing. So over here, 5 feet away from me, the agastaki did not do well, but look at the foliage here on echinacea. Is that not crazy? There's 2, 4, 6 of these. Nice and big and beautiful. Blueberry bushes are doing well. Who knows? I mean, that is gardening, y'all. Sometimes things just happen. It is what it is. Beautiful perennial grasses, still, you know, they are flushing out and doing really nicely here. I want to bring you up though to the front just a little bit. We're going to back up just a little bit. Jerry's not backing up. There we go. We're backing up now. He's putting it in reverse. We have talked about this poor tea olive, same thing, massive hit, y'all. It is not dead. So what we're gonna do, come in here, maybe with the electric hedge trimmers, shape it up, clean it up, fertilize it, let it bounce back. Your peonies. So look right here. So Jerry, if you'll come on that little bud right there. A lot of people talk about peonies and that you don't like the black ants that are on your peony buds. They are completely harmless. They are not going to hurt your peony at all. They are attracted to that sweet nectar sap that is in the peony buds. Some people say that a peony flower will not open if you don't have ants, because the ants help release it. I don't know that that is necessarily true. However, they are not harmful. Do not feel like you need to come in here and lay some sort of insecticide down to kill those ants. One sweet viewer said that what her family has done for like 72 years is, right, so you cut your flower when it opens, put it in the vase, and leave it outside in a shaded area for like 12, 13 hours. The ants will leave, and then you don't have to worry about bringing the ants in your house. It's very simple, easy peasy. I could not be happier with this giant lamb's ear. Y'all, I planted this. This is one of Jenny's rescue plants from the nursery last year. We had ordered some giant lamb's ear, sold a ton of it, except for 2, 4, 6 little quarts of it. And it was sad looking. I didn't even show you, I don't think, when I planted this. And I said, okay, lamb's ear likes it hot, kind of dry. So we're gonna put it over here. Obviously this is right in front of our AC units, heating and air units, because we don't want to put anything tall here. For the guys that come and work on it, we want to keep it low. The tea olives hide them from the front of the house. Not on irrigation. They did great. This winter, clearly their roots grew, and they absolutely love it right here. I did tuck in, this is the yellow sailboat and jonquils, daffodils. I had some of those left over. We tucked them in here, and I just love the look of it. But yeah, this is giant lamb's ear, a wonderful perennial, doing great. And then last but not least, we're gonna wrap up the garden tour. I keep it real around here, y'all. The yellow violas are still just cranking out. They are doing wonderful. The tulips, on the other hand, yeah, they're a little bit past their prime, shall we say, and they need to be removed from the garden. But we're just going to enjoy the beauty of the yellow violas. The tulips will happen when the tulips happen. But anyway, so it is a beautiful time, a glorious time to be a gardener in the South. There is an irrigation hole right there. And so it's a lot of fun to be here in the South if you are in colder climates. We've had a lot of customers that are in colder climates that have said, we need some sunshine, and so they have made a trip south. We'd love to have you, of course, but it is a really fun time to be here in the South because every day something else happens. Our hummingbirds are back. Could not be happier with that. They're starting to get a little bit more friendly with us, so they're not so scared of us. So the hummingbirds are back. The crepe myrtles are starting to pop out. Everything is just popping out here, and like I said, great time to be a gardener here in the South. As always, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.